ready. Are we ready? Yes? Okay. All right. Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting of February 10th, 2026. It does say the 10th. Oh my goodness. February 24th, 2026. Valentine's Day already happened. Okay, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Phone is not working, sorry.
Oh,
Council members present and establishing a quorum are council members Beaumont, Hanford, Walker, Gamble, Fisher, and Blair.
thank you. Councilmember Fulcher indicated that they would be absent. Unless there are objections, their absence will be considered excused. Hearing no objections, their absence is excused. Thank you. And for tonight, we're having a little bit of problem with Zoom hearing us. So when you speak, please speak close into the mic, and that goes for anyone at the audience when you're speaking up at the podium. Thank you. Councilmember Blair, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item of business is public comments. This is a limited opportunity for people to speak to the council during this council meeting. Pursuant to council rules of procedure, oral public comment is limited to in-person comment only and must comply with the standards set forth in the council rules. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Information on where to send written comments is on tonight's agenda and on the screen. Clerk, were there any written comments received? Thank you. Do we have a sign-in sheet for tonight? Oh, no one signed in tonight. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak? Please come up to the podium. If you could state your name and association, and we'll start the timer. Thank you. And speak right and directly in the microphone. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Seeing no one else, the public comment portion of the meeting is now closed. There is a need for an executive session this evening. The City Council will convene an executive session in the purpose of discussing potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, subset 1, subset I for how many minutes? 7 minutes. The city clerk will announce any extensions. The regular meeting will convene after the executive session, and there may be action taken if nothing else to adjourn the meeting. The executive session is now beginning at 7:06 p.m.
The executive session has been extended 5 minutes.
Reconvened. City. The city council meeting is now reconvened. The next item of business is the consent agenda. Council? Councilmember Beaumont?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda as provided in the packet.
Is there a second? Hanford, thank you. A motion has been made by Councilmember Beaumont and seconded by Councilmember Hanford to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion passes 6-0. Thank you. The next item is unfinished business, item 7.1, ordinance number 001-2026, interim housing ordinance with Kate. How do you say your last name?
Turtles are low.
Turtles are low. Turtle-o. Thank you.
Is this, it's on, okay. All right, thank you. Before I get started, I just want to remind you what is in your packet. The agenda bill includes some background information, policy considerations, our requested action this evening. The attachments include the draft ordinance with all of the exhibits, which are the specific changes to the Unified Development Code regarding definitions and land use tables. It also includes my correspondence with the Department of Commerce regarding some of my housing questions, as well as information regarding step housing and co-housing. And then finally, we did receive a support letter from the master builders, so that's included as well. Slide. Okay, why we're here this evening. Just as a refresher, we are proposing amendments to the Unified Development Code. The first one is related to step housing. Step housing stands for emergency shelters and transitional, emergency, and permanent supportive housing, as well as co-living housing. The step housing, just to let you know a little bit background, we actually did a lot of code amendments back in 24 and 25, and actually going back to 2019. We included several of these components in the community housing, which is already permitted in several of our zones. The co-housing is new. And then I think Anita kind of went over this with you, but this type of housing is for some of our, not special needs, but different groups of our community. And just kind of to put this in context, doing a quick look at the US Census Quick Facts, 5% of Monroe residents are veterans. 10% have a disability, and they're under the age of 65. 10.5% of our population is over 65 years of age, and 7.3% are living in poverty. These are the typical populations that this housing will benefit. Next slide. Slow down. Okay, so as mentioned before, both of these are required by state law. The first one is House Bill 1220, and that is step housing, and then the other one is House Bill 1998. Both of these passed the legislature a couple years ago, and they included a mandatory deadline for inclusion with our development codes, and they really say we cannot prohibit these types of uses. However, the way Monroe's code is developed, if it is not in the land use table, we prohibit it. So that's why we're asking for these code amendments. I think more importantly is that these also help the city of Monroe achieve several of the plans that you've already adopted. And that includes the Housing Action Plan adopted by resolution in 2021, the updated housing goals and policies and the Monroe 2044 Comprehensive Plan, as well as implementing Imagine Monroe, which includes the statement, we can find everything we need with regional connections and a variety of choices of work, housing, dining, shopping, arts, and activities. The last thing on the slide is just a reference that we have used the interim regulations before. This is you take action, and then we have to hold a public hearing within 60 days. Then it's valid for 6 months while the city continues working on the formal document. Next slide. Okay, so this is really what's in the draft ordinance. It is to allow step housing in the zones that, if you look at the Commerce letter, they indicated that we needed to include, and that is tourist commercial, limited open space, and general commercial. We need to add a definition for co-housing, and then we need to allow co-housing in our multifamily, which is the multifamily residential 25 units per acre or more, and our mixed-use zone. This is not required in any of our single-family zones. Okay, next slide. And then just a refresher of how we're here tonight. This actually began back in November of last year. The council did adopt an identical ordinance. Unfortunately, we did not hold the public hearing in time, and so it expired on January 17th. Anita came back with the draft ordinance on February 10th, and at that hearing, it stalled out, and so we are back here this evening. So with that, we are making the same recommendation as 2 weeks ago. Next slide. That's okay. And again, that is to waive council rules and procedures requiring the 2 readings of an ordinance. And then the second action would be actually adopting Ordinance 001-2026. So with that, I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Questions? Councilmember Gamble.
No questions. We've had this on the docket a couple times, and I know we voted on it already once. And I'm very much, we only waive the procedure for 2 readings on a topic that is very much such like this. I just want to, we're very much in keeping that. This is nothing that anybody up here isn't extremely familiar with, so I just wanted to preface that. So I'm going to make the motion to waive council rules of procedure requiring 2 readings of an ordinance.
Is there a second? Second. Motion has been made by Councilmember Gamble and seconded by Councilmember Beaumont to waive the council rules of procedure requiring 2 readings of an ordinance. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Could you guys raise your hand so I can see that? All those opposed say no. Aye. Motion passes 5-1. Thank you. Is there a motion for the second requested action? Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, appreciate this. I know I'm going to be making a motion here in a second. I know this basically just continues the term that we already did back, or actually reinstates it, and then we'll get to discuss this again in the April timeframe, so I look forward to that. So I'm going to move to adopt ordinance number 001-2026, adopting interim zoning amendments to Chapter 22.12 MMC definitions, Chapter 22.18 MMC multifamily residential zoning district, Chapter 22.2 MMC mixed-use zoning districts, Chapter 22.24 MMC tourist commercial zoning district, Chapter 22.26 MMC general commercial zoning districts, and Chapter 22.34 limited open space zoning districts, allowing for step housing and co-house bill ESHB 1998 respectively, setting forth supportive findings, requiring a post-adoption public hearing, providing for severability, and establishing an effective date.
Bravo. There's a second. Was that Hemford? Thank you. A motion has been made by Councilmember Gamble and seconded by Councilmember Hanford to adopt ordinance number 001, 2026, adopting interim zoning amendments as shown on the screen and in the packet. Any discussion? Councilmember, I'm not sure who had it, Beaumont? Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Kate. Thank you for framing this so well for us. Thank you for including Imagine Monroe in this discussion. I appreciate you reminding us of the type of residents that this benefits, this housing benefits, and I also appreciate you reminding us of how many of those people live in our community and need this. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
So I was going to ask Kate follow-up questions on her presentation. We kind of jumped into the motions a little bit quickly, but one of the premises, I think, or that we were operating under the last time we discussed this, the council discussed this, was that there was a lot of urgency around this, that we needed to waive the rules of procedure about 2 readings of an ordinance, because to not do so would to be out of compliance with the Growth Management Act. With the co-living law, for example, reading it, it says that if you don't have something adopted on this, the Washington law will just supersede it. And then in the wording of the law, it says that where they're in zones where there's 6 multifamily units allowed, co-living has to be allowed. And being that if we didn't adopt a law for this, the Washington law would supersede ours and none of our zones might apply, I don't really understand the urgency. I wonder if we have a complete understanding of the law, because to adopt this as an interim effectively means that we are adopting a law that's going to come back to us in March, where we're going to discuss potential amendments to it. But while we're adopting the interim, being that a project could come in and be approved under the interim law, we're effectively approving the law that we're going to discuss in March. So I don't know. I just feel like there could have or should have been more discussion around this. I guess that won't be a question. I just want to explain why I'm going to be voting no.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Oh, Councilmember Fisher, sorry, you had raised your flag. Go ahead.
That's okay. Thank you, Mayor. So yeah, going through this, the original bill, reading that, we had a little bit more wiggle room with what we could have done if that would have been passed without some alternate things coming in to the bill, which would have made it easier on our city. The final bill, I don't have obviously anything against housing veterans, housing the disabled, housing seniors. The problem, and this is more just to be on record saying that I don't agree with it, is page 3, line 1, talks about housing first, which my understanding with the state, that means low barrier, no barrier housing. I do not know of a lot of seniors that would want to live in one of these community housings when we're putting low barrier, no barrier people in there with them. Just sounds like a bad match. That's why I don't like this bill. I think there's some things in here that are good. I think there's some things in here that are appropriate. But then when we start making it law that certain people have to house with other certain people, I don't know if that is such a good idea in this situation. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker?
Thank you. One follow-up question, I'm sorry, I do have. The definition that we have for multifamily unit in Monroe?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked that, because the co-housing, the way we read the bill, is it's only required in the multifamily zone that has 6 or more units. And for the city of Monroe, we only have 1 multifamily zone, and that is the residential 25 units per acre. So the single family, the R7 and the R15, co-housing, we are not required to put it in that zone. It specifically says multifamily. The other zone is the mixed use, and that's mixed use general and mixed use neighborhood. Both allow the higher density residential.
Okay. So in a UGA R7, Can you explain if this would apply? Could a co-living facility, let's say that there is an R7 UGA zone, are you saying that no co-living units could basically go in there underneath the interim ordinance that we're adopting?
Yeah, if you had the time to look through the ordinance, we are only requesting that the co-housing be added to the R25 and the mixed-use zones. We are not recommending including it in all residential zones.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes 4-2. Thank you. Thank you, Kate. Thank you. The next item is new business item 8.1, authorize a new pay range classification for Deputy Finance Director with Ben Wortham.
Kate said I had to turn it on. Good evening, everybody. Tonight, I'm here to request a pay range reclassification for a deputy finance director. The city of Monroe has had a vacant finance manager position since August. City staff would like to begin that recruitment process for this role soon. Historically, recruitment for the finance manager position has not produced a large pool of candidates. For example, the last time we had only 19 people apply, many of whom did not meet those desired qualifications. Obviously, this position is essential to the city's financial operations, really helping Julie out. To increase the likelihood of attracting higher qualified candidates, staff would like to post the position as both either a finance manager and a deputy finance director. We're still only asking, that doesn't change the FTE count. We're just looking for potentially attracting more wider group of candidates with higher skill set. And we'd like to start that this week. We've had this position in the past. I know we kind of talked about that last week, and that's from my perspective, that's really when finance worked best, when you had two higher skilled finance professionals in that role. So we're thinking that we could replicate this again, and I'll take any questions.
All right. Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, I appreciate this bringing us forward. I know we talked about this in the finance committee meeting, and I think we might even have touched it in open. I can't remember. But I think this is a smart move. Obviously, we've got, you're competing with other, around. It leaves us open. If you get a good qualified candidate that's in the finance manager range, we can hire a finance manager, but then it also opens up. And you'll get those that wouldn't apply for the finance manager that will apply for the deputy finance director. Gives you a broader slate. And I'm all for having a broad slate, a diverse slate. So I'm totally in support of this. Budget supports it. I think you're just looking for direct. I don't see a motion, otherwise I would make one.
Got to put, yep, there is a motion.
Move to authorize staff to prepare an amendment to the city's adopted salary schedule, ordinance number 028-2025, Appendix A, to authorize a new pay range classification and job description for deputy finance director.
Beaumont second. Any discussion on the motion? Questions, discussion? No, okay. A motion has been made by Councilmember Gamble and seconded by Councilmember Beaumont to authorize staff to prepare an amendment to the city's adopted salary schedule, ordinance number 028-2025, Appendix A, to authorize a new pay range classification and job description for deputy finance director. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. You're up again. The next item is new business item 8.2, authorize mayor or designee to sign professional service agreement not to exceed $35,000 for executive recruiting services, also with Ben Wortham.
Thanks. Councilmember Gamble often says that hope is not a strategy, and we should always have a strategy. So this is my strategy for actively filling the city administrator's role. The position is open. We're recruiting for that in-house. Our first review of candidates is on March 2nd of 2026. That's this coming Monday. If for some reason that recruitment does not get the people that we want to interview for the role, our backup plan would be to ask to go out for a professional service contract for executive recruiting. What I don't want to do is have it be too late in the process where we're losing 2 or 3 weeks, which is why there's not a firm identified. I'm just asking for the authorization here, so.
Questions? Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we talked about this last week and possibly the week before. So I move to authorize the mayor or designee to execute a professional services agreement in an amount not to exceed $35,000 for executive recruiting services related to the city administrator position.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Gamble, thank you. A motion has been made by Councilmember Hanford and seconded by Councilmember Gamble to authorize the mayor or designee to execute a professional service agreement in the amount not to exceed $35,000 for executive recruiting services related to the city administrator position. Any discussion? Councilmember Gamble.
Or is this when I say no and tell Deb she can't retire?
Yes,
that?
yes.
that
Is
what
there a
we do
second? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Still in
Councilmember-
mourning.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Councilmember Fisher? You sure? Yeah. Councilmember Walker?
Mr. Worthman, thank you very much for the discussion earlier around this. Can you just confirm this is common amongst other cities in Washington for a position like this?
Great question. Yeah, absolutely. Typically at the senior level, the police chief, the city administrator, this is a fairly common practice.
Okay. Because the city administrator in a strong mayor form or other forms is sort of like the GM or head coach of a football team?
Yeah, the COO of the operations would be how I would classify the city administrator role if you look at it like from the private sector. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure for the record, when the action is seen in its text, this is why.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Councilmember Gamble?
And just to add on to yours, to punctuate that, what's the, Director Elsom, what's the budget, the fiscal budget, what's the overall budget that the chief operating officer for the city of Monroe manages? Yeah, just total.
I know this. 'Cause
Maybe
I
the
asked
mayor
this
knows it.
question.
Maybe the mayor. Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I just, to punctuate that, we want to make sure we have the right candidate working with our CEO, the mayor, to oversee a $300 million budget.
Thank you. Councilmember Beaumont?
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to weigh in here. So I spent last week in a marketing retreat actually at work. And a lot of what we talked about what makes our company great and keeps it competitive is people. It's very, very important to attract the right people to keep things moving smoothly, the continuity, all of that. And we all agree that it's going to be a big loss to lose Deborah Knight. And I think that this, and you've written this really well, Director Worthen, in saying, if this happens, we will use this money. It's not a given. We're using it right now. It's if we exhaust the candidate pool, this is what we need to be able to do. And I really appreciated how the agenda bill was written, but it's all about people. It's all about getting the right people, and it's a competitive market out there at the executive level, so I wholly support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All right, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Next item is council member reports. Councilmember Walker.
Went and toured a few of the areas that have been discussed with regard to land use lately, and it was really helpful hearing from residents on all sides of the issue. So I just appreciate the involvement of all of our residents in our community as always. Live in a very special place. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Gosh, I can't remember a lot of stuff, but just typical, communicating with people and walking our parks. We'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Blair.
I had no outside meetings or anything to contribute for this week.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Same, but looking forward to attending the Ramadan celebration for the first time this weekend. Up at the,
Thank you for attending.
yeah,
Okay,
thanks.
anything else? Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. I had an opportunity on Wednesday of last week with the Historical Society to host a Take the Next Step dinner in the community. And it was our first time doing that. We've wanted to do it for a long time. And oh my gosh, it was just such a wonderful experience. Great organization, so important in our community. Great, colleagues at the Monroe Historical Society and just the people that came in and were so appreciative. It was really a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I also wanted to say that I also appreciate the community engagement. We have a lot of people doing some really amazing things in the community, like creating Facebook pages and encouraging people to get involved with anything in the city, just trying to make the city better. And I really love seeing that. It makes me happy. And I'm also attending Ramadan on Saturday night with Councilmember Hanford. Looking forward to that first time for me too. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, didn't attend any meetings, but I'd be remiss to not call out two items that are going on in the community. Obviously, the season of Lent is upon us, and I know there's many residents that are celebrating. It started with Ash Wednesday, this last Wednesday. So we're on that journey. Many residents are on that journey, and at the same time, which seemed very weird, but that I'm bringing this up, but it is Senior Assassin time for high school students. So I just want to make sure that that's on the record. If you see, and where's the chief? Are you well aware of this? All right. So let's just be cognizant that the Nerf guns are not real guns. And this is a tried and true tradition that's not sponsored by Monroe High School, but it is something that students have done for a very long time. Councilmember Walker, you might have partaken in that. That's correct. And I actually love seeing it, but that it is upon us. So as you're seeing it, that's it.
Great, thank you. The next item is staff reports. The first report is for the police department. Chief Jolly.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Pleasure to be here. I would just note that under significant cases, there are several interesting cases and a couple of ongoing investigations listed in there. Also under department events, it notes and talks about our annual Jamie Bindle Run, which occurred 25th of January and was again a success. This noted or recognized the 15th anniversary of that unfortunate thing, but we continue to honor Jamie's past and contributions. And then finally, just note in your packet that we've added a domestic violence coordinator services. Thank you, Councilmember Blair, highlighting some of our services that are given by that stakeholder. So the packet contains this report. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Any questions? Councilmember Gamble.
So I know, I can't remember if it was last week, Chief, or the week before, we had talked about there's a lot of stuff on Facebook about the mailbox key being stolen from the postmaster. And so I didn't know if, I was hoping to maybe see something, and I know that's not a strategy, but I don't know if we can get that on the agenda, or if, I thought maybe we might see it in the report. But there is, I don't know if you've seen it on it happened to me, so I can first hand give you that, but the key to the joint use mailboxes and it's a master key. It's been stolen. Postmaster, from what I understand, is known for a while. I don't know what's coming through or if those are being called in. People are supposed to be calling that in. I think my wife called it in. I just want to know if we've got any data there that we could potentially use from a city perspective. I know it's federal, but anything that we could potentially do in that regard would be appreciated because it's all over.
Yes, it's an ongoing investigation that we're trying not to release any information on right now.
Okay, that's great.
Okay. Councilmember Fisher.
Yeah, we had the pleasure, some of us had the pleasure to go to the award ceremony for the police department last week, which was awesome. We have an amazing crew of people out there behind the badge. They're doing a lot of work. Got to hear some of the things that go on in our sleepy little town, and I think sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but maybe other residents just think it's a sleepy little town, and our police force is not pushed to the limits on some calls. 100% false. They go on some pretty significant calls in our community. They handle it well, and the award ceremony was great, and everybody is so professional. And they even let us in, which was awesome. Mayor had a great speech, and yeah, I just really go out showing support for them because it's a difficult job. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker, you had your flag.
I was just going to say the same thing. Chief, thank you for having the mayor and Councilmember Fisher and I out. You've got an amazing department and good leadership as well.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Yeah, thank you for the invite, and it was great to attend, and great job, first time mayor, and yeah, just so proud of our men and women. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The next report is for Public Works, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. In the report tonight, we've got touching on traffic calming, a little bit of downtown cleanup work that was done recently, some large-scale water system pressure testing, and that's in advance of the Trombley Hill water main replacement that's coming, that goes from the Trombley Hill Reservoir down behind the fairgrounds to the north of the fairgrounds, and comes out roughly, we'll just say where the sheriff's station is, for lack of a better descriptor. That is a huge project. Council passed bonds earlier this year in order to facilitate the completion of the sludge dryer at the wastewater treatment plant and the replacement of that segment of water main. I will tell you that is one of the projects that's been on my let's get this done bucket list before I leave this earth, and it's happening, which I'm very excited about. Continuing on into the environmental side of things, we're planting some stuff at Woods Creek, create some shade, fish like shade, who knew? And then also we are working with our fantastic Parks Department and some of the Eagle Scouts in the community to get some salmon signage down there. That concludes my report. Mayor, back to you.
Yeah, any questions for Mr. Roberts? Comments? Well, thank you, and thank you for the cleanup downtown. Again, really appreciate that, and a lot of business owners noticed and appreciated, so thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is extended agenda. Ms. Knight?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Looking forward to our next meeting on March 10th. We will have a City Council Legislative Affairs Committee meeting. We will have selection of chair, and then approval of the 2026 committee work plan, and then a discussion with Liam McCorkle about legislative strategy. For the regular business meeting on the 10th, we will have a presentation by Lorraine Ralston, who is the Washington coordinator for the America 250, so celebration of America's 250th birthday. A public hearing on the permanent housing ordinance and first reading. Under consent, we have the regular accounts payable, meeting minutes, payroll, and then a presentation on the consent agenda, excuse me, not a presentation, on the consent agenda, the finance policy for petty cash and a finance policy for automated clearing house accounts payable items. Under new business, we have introduction of pre-annexation zoning for the Davis properties with Amy Bright, and then department reports from community development.
Is there another page? Okay. I did that last time. I moved too quick last time. Council, any questions on the extended agenda? Councilmember Gamble.
The special city council workshop, I have a work conflict. And it looks like that, oh, it has been? It's still showing in mine. Okay.
Rescheduled for, I believe, May 5th.
Beautiful. Okay, great, perfect.
Yeah. Lucked out. Councilmember Hanford.
Yeah, 3-3 is canceled. Thank you, Mayor. I will be absent the following week on the 17th.
On the 17th, okay. St. Patrick's Day?
Correct.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, you're going to be out the 17th?
I'll take it remote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Councilmember Gamble will be remote on the 17th. Thank you. Okay. Councilmember Fisher.
Just real quick, so no special city council workshop on the 3rd.
Correct.
Okay, so no council, it's just gonna be, oh, we still have regular business meeting?
Nope.
Nope, so we have nothing. Okay.
You have a night off, a well-deserved night
I'm
off.
sure I'll fill it with something. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, any other questions on the extended agenda? Okay. Next item is the administrator report. Ms. Knight?
All right, so we have discussed this. The special meeting has been rescheduled. It was originally planned for March 3rd. Now it's rescheduled to March 5th. Oh, excuse
May.
me. Gosh, I just keep getting my Mays and my March. It's all confused today for some reason. Thank you. Yes, 3-3 to 5-5. Thank you very much. We'll have a legislative update from Liam McCorkle.
Thank you, Deborah. Once again, I was asked to come back and provide another council legislative update, and we will be, just for your consideration, we will be looking for 1 point of direction from council tonight, so keep your ears open on what I will talk about. As you are probably aware, the legislative session is wrapping up very quickly, and it is quickly approaching. The last very substantive bill cutoff, which is the opposite house cutoff, is March 6th, so that is next Friday. So pretty much any bill that we expect to see by the end of the session should pass both houses by next Friday. Sine die, which is the very end of the session, where nothing else will be passed, is March 12th. Legislators' supplemental budgets were released on Monday, so I have been reviewing those. I did do a cursory review, and preliminary review shows that State Route 522 funding still remains consistent with the governor's proposed budget, which is what we asked for in this specific supplemental budget. Whale Street Park, which was our capital budget ask, does not appear to be included in the capital request. There was only two 12th district projects that were funded, one of which being from the city of Manson, an old swim hole revitalization project, and the other which being a Riverside Park picnic shelter revitalization project, and I am not even sure where that project is located, to be completely honest. There are a couple of remaining bills that we have discussed and that we advocated for when we went down to Olympia, one of which is Senate Bill 6002, that is the automated license plate reader system bill. The main contention that is still left that AWC is working to negotiate is regarding the lack of use to use these cameras for the purpose of solving gross misdemeanor cases. Another bill is House Bill 2266, that is the STEP housing bill. It has been heavily amended since when we went down to Olympia, even to the point where I'd almost say it's completely different from what we were advocating about. But essentially the key points for council to keep in mind is it moved away from requiring allowance of STEP housing in every non-industrial zone to requiring allowance of transition housing in any zone where residential units or hotels are allowed, and emergency shelters in any zone where hotels are allowed. Also, it now allows the city to enter into good faith negotiations if the projects are proposed to be located within 500 feet of a school, or we can enter into a contract with more specific requirements if the city is providing any sort of land or funding. So it is actually very similar to what we were discussing tonight, House Bill 1220 from 2021. The main contention that we have left, at least in how we advocated for this when we went down to Olympia, is the inability to pursue operating agreements or good neighbor agreements in any case or all cases if desired. With that said, there is unlikely to be further amendments. It is a heavily amended bill already, and there is general consensus among both houses. We are going to expect this piece of legislation to continue to move through the process. Now, there are two kind of pieces of legislation that we would, that potentially are new to council, at least in what we are presenting, that we are looking to potentially reach out to our 12th district legislators to submit comments on before the end of the session, and this is where I might ask for some of council's input. The first of which is House Bill 2034, and this is regarding it's a Left One bill. So by 2029, just for some context, the Left One fund will be 200% funded. House Bill 2034 proposes to sweep the Left One state system along with the $3.4 billion surplus and reinstate it with a new system that is 110% funded. This surplus of funds that the state would then generate from sweeping this account would be directed into the climate commitment account and the state's general fund. Historically, the city or employers have made about 11.5% of the contributions to this Left One account, and city specifically employed about 75% of the employees in the Left One system. So the city's share of that excess $3.3 billion that was estimated by AWC is actually $300 million. As most of you are aware, Left 1 continues to make up a notable cost and an increasing cost for the city. So our ask in this legislative letter that we would send is to ask our legislators to recognize the city's historic contributions and the continuing costs and utilize that surplus that they would get from sweeping that account to mitigate city costs, whether that means by transferring responsibility of payment from the local to the state, which there has been some interest in, or by receiving reimbursements from the state. So that is one letter we are looking to send to our legislators. The second one, and the one that we certainly want council direction on because it is a much more contentious piece of legislation, is Senate Bill 6346, which is more commonly known as the millionaire's tax. And I would argue that this is the most debated bill this legislative session. I want to be very clear at the outsets of these remarks and any letter that we would send that we do not want to comment on the tax itself. We want to stay away from that. However, I will point out that the current bill removes some of the city's sales tax authority and the revenue we would be bringing in from sales tax. The current bill removes sales tax for hygiene products. AWC estimates that being about a $10 million loss for cities. And Governor Ferguson has also asked that the bill be further amended to include additional sales tax exemptions on common products and also statewide sales tax holidays, both of which are going to further decrease sales tax revenues that cities, including Monroe, would collect. Now, the bill does advocate, you might remember, 7% of funding to local governments for indigent defense funding our public defenders. Cities are expected to receive 10%, or they are allocated 10% of that 7%, or about $29 million. For contrast, and to remind you of some of previous presentations, indigent defense costs are expected to increase by $165 million for cities by 2036. So $165 million compared to about $29 million we would be receiving from the state from this tax. So they ask, once again, not looking at the tax itself, but should this bill pass, what we would potentially send a letter to the legislators of would be to ensure that when the legislator is looking at this tax, that at a minimum, any income that is allocated to cities is going to be proportional to the amount of tax we would be losing from sales tax. So if we are going to be losing a certain amount because they're going to exempt sales tax from this bill as being proposed by Governor Ferguson, the amount that we are receiving for indigent defense or other city services should be increased to be able to make up for that. That is what this ask would be in this letter to legislators. However, since this is a very contentious bill, we want to make sure we have council direction before we send anything on behalf of the city of Monroe. So with that, I will stop my report. I am always happy to answer questions. Things are wrapping up fast. We really only have 2 more weeks to get anything moving in this legislative process.
Okay. Council, questions, comments? I think we do need direction tonight. Yes, okay. Councilmember Fisher.
I have a couple. First, 2034, Left 1 retirement. For those of you that don't know, stands for Law Enforcement and Firefighter Retirement. This is money that was set aside for the retirement of those workers. To have this money taken out and put into climate, which I think was 569 million of it, I think was going back into climate. And then the rest of it going into the general fund, to me, is a bit crazy. I think that money can be used for Left 2 retirement systems. So there's 2 of them. There's Law Enforcement and Firefighter 2, and basically Law Enforcement Firefighter 1. And that could go to supplement Left 2. Could also go to supplement us as one of the cities that is on the hook for the medical expenses for our Left 1 retirees. It is a huge budget item, and to take that $3 billion plus and put it in a general fund instead of giving smaller cities like ours or even big cities that are struggling making those payments, those medical payments, that would be a much wiser use in my opinion. And then moving on to next is we're responsible for a lot of things, but to keep it in the context of the Left 1 that the city is responsible for, then to take away some revenue from us through the sales tax and the millionaire tax seems crazy. It's almost like they're trying to put our cities out of business. And I think I'll stick with that for now and let the rest of the council speak if they wish.
Thank you. Other comments? Oh, Councilmember Walker, sorry. Yep.
I would support everything that Councilmember Fisher just said in terms of adding comments. The other thing, one of the bills you mentioned, I think you mentioned, was the ALPR bill, or maybe it was just something we got a message from AWC about, the automated license plate readers, the flock cameras. The state looks like they're going to pass a bill that will remove it being, police departments from being able to use it for gross misdemeanors. And gross misdemeanors can include attempted rape of minors or children, attempted luring of children. It's just horrendous what is included by gross misdemeanors, and it's heartbreaking to think that if this law, or if this becomes law, one day there's going to come a time where a resident comes to us with a situation where they say, please help me find a perpetrator in a crime against them, and we're going to say we can't. So if we can add a comment asking for those misdemeanors to be kept, maybe it's not property. I think it should include property as well, but at least those, that's devastating. Yeah.
Other comments, questions? Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Liam, for all of that information. You know, we were sitting in the hearing for the millionaires tax, and that was really interesting, and that's really been in the forefront of news in the state, probably the most contested bill out there. I wanted to just go on record and saying I support Councilmember Fisher. Taking care of firefighter and police retirement systems is extremely important, so anything that we can do to support that, I totally agree with everything he just said. The millionaires tax letter that you're referring to that we would prepare as a city, from what I heard, I support. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, I appreciate the comments. Kyle, you're right on the first one, and I'm totally going to default to your expertise in that area, so appreciate all your comments on that. And then the millionaires tax side, it's one of the most contentious. For the record, I'm not a bot, and I signed in on that one. Not going to say which way I did, but I'm not a bot, and I signed in, and I think it's very disingenuous when that's the first narrative for either side. So anyway, anything that can state a firm opposition to that, I am all in for, because the part that's the irony for me is that here we are trying to be in compliance with something that was passed for the state from the standpoint of interim housing and all that kind of stuff, and I can't read, every time I read this thing, it's a direct violation of the state constitution, so I don't understand what we're doing. So plus of all of the taking away of all the funding from the city. So fully support from a city perspective anything that is against it. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with all of my fellow council members with everything that's been said. I support Councilmember Walker's addition as well. So thank you. I'll go on record that it's frustrating, as Councilmember Gamble just said, that we are told that we have to fit into certain housing things as cities, and then our state leadership continues to go down this path. And so I fully support the letters.
Thank you. And just to inform council, I did sign on with other mayors in support of including gross misdemeanors in the bill. So just, yep, you're welcome. Do you need anything else? Did you get enough direction, do you think, on that?
Just to clarify, the direction I'm receiving is that we will send letters for House Bill 2034, making sure that the Left 1 funding continues to go to fund Left 1 or Left 2. And then also we will send a letter for Senate Bill 6346, the millionaire's tax, focusing in on ensuring that the sales tax exemptions are being mitigated with the indigent defense.
Councilmember Walker.
I'd like to see if the rest of the council would support adding a letter on the flock, adding gross misdemeanors.
Yep. Do I see consensus? And again, I did sign the mayor's letter to
Thank you.
approve that, yeah, include it. Okay, anything else, Mr. McCorkle? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
The only other things are the things that you see on the slide in front of you, which is we are hiring for both Parks and Public Works seasonal staff. The poster that you see is from our Facebook page. We'll have a similar one for Public Works. Community Egg Hunt volunteers on April 4th, so if anybody is interested in volunteering, I believe that's a 7:30 a.m. start time. It's one of the biggest events, of course, we have in the city besides National Night Out. And then just a cause for applause, just want to give a shout out to the Legends Baseball Club, which did a really great Sky River Park cleanup following all the flooding events that we had earlier in the season. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Ms. Knight? Okay, next is Mayor's Report, and just have an update on the Monroe Weekly, which is going to Monroe Monthly. So we're transitioning, it'll transition in March to a monthly newsletter. It'll create a single comprehensive monthly update designed to improve readability, consistency, and resident engagement. It'll be published on the first Tuesday of the month, and we will still have social media and Facebook and all that. So it also will be written in a consistent we voice. I will have a mayor's message, but this is our newsletter. This is the city's newsletter. I will have a message, but it's not just my newsletter. So time sensitive, our urgent information will be shared outside the newsletter through news flashes and social media and all of that. And we're really excited about this transition. And I want to thank Liam, Mr. McCorkle. We worked through this, and I believe his valuable time can be spent elsewhere besides pulling a newsletter together weekly, digging up stuff to present. So we think this is going to be a good transition. So if you have any questions, let Mr. McCorkle know or let me know. So thank you on that. And then just a couple meetings. So I want to thank the chief and the department. The police awards, as others mentioned up here, was just great. And in part of my comments, I said, I'm so proud to be your mayor. And after I heard all the things that were accomplished last year and everything that was done, it just really makes me proud. So thank you. Went to the park board meeting Thursday night, and we have a really great park board. Lisa Brown was nominated as chair, and we've got a couple other people that we're going to be bringing forward, I think, in the next month for the park board. So excited about the work they're doing there. And then yesterday, I met with Economic Alliance of Snohomish County and had a meeting with Ray Stevenson and just talked to them about Monroe and our demographics and who we are and how can they help us get the word out that Monroe is open for business and what businesses would come here, and talked about Kelsey, Turney Place, the festival lot, and the property, the airport property, to just put that on their radar to say, that is up for sale and that's a great piece of property. It would be great for a hotel. So that's it for me. I've got a lot of events this week, so I'll have more to report next week. We don't meet, so 2 weeks. That's it. Any questions for me? Great, thank you. There is need for an executive session this evening. The City Council will convene in an executive session for the purpose of discussing potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, subset 1, subset I for 7 minutes. Really? Okay, 7 minutes. The city clerk will announce any extensions. The regular meeting will convene after the executive session. There may be action taken, if nothing else, to adjourn the meeting. The executive session is now beginning at 8:11 p.m. He told me it was going to be an hour. He told me it was going to be.
The executive session has been extended 7 minutes. The executive session has been extended 5 minutes. The executive session has been extended 5 minutes. The executive session has been extended an additional 5 minutes.
The city council meeting is now reconvened. There being no further business and no objections, the meeting will be adjourned. Hearing no objections, the meeting is now adjourned.